Basic Economics, written by Thomas Sowell. Learning economics should be as uncomplicated as it is eye-opening. Part 1. Prices and Markets. What is economics? Economics is a systematic study of cause and effect. What are prices? Prices are the final outcome of supply and demand. Prices are like messengers conveying news, sometimes bad news, but often also good news. How are prices determined? By the many costs involved with production. Politically, price controls are always a tempting quick fix for inflation. What are the consequences of enforcing price controls? Hoarding, black markets, product shortages, unaffordable surplus, quality deterioration. Understanding any subject requires that it first be defined so that you are clear in your own mind as to what you are talking about and what you are not talking about. Part 2. The Rise and Fall of Business. The Role of Profits and Losses. The Economics of Big Business. Regulation and Antitrust Laws. Market and non-market economies. More important from the standpoint of economics is not what money the business owner hopes to make, but how all of this affects the use of scarce resources, which have alternative uses, and therefore how it affects the economic well-being of millions of other people in society at large. Categories of change. Social change. For example, large amounts of consumers relocating from cities to suburbs. Economic change. For example, moving from paper currency to electronic currency. Technological change. Replacing dated technology with innovative technology. Leadership changes, brought about through death, retirement, or new appointments. Companies superbly adapted to a given set of conditions can be left behind when those conditions change suddenly and their competitors are quicker to respond. What incentivizes profits? Self-interest, efficiency, and mass markets. What factors into profit rates? Sales versus investment, total capital versus particular sales, competition, low price, high volume. Economies of scale are created when the cost per unit decreases with every unit of production. Diseconomies of scale are created when the cost no longer decreases even though more units are being produced. Knowledge is one of the scarcest of all resources in any economy. An economy based on prices, profits, and losses gives decisive advantages to those with greater knowledge and insight. The truth about stabilization and distribution. Middlemen are essential to efficient production. Passing on costs and savings is a byproduct of the rate of profit or loss. What are the difficulties of socialist economies? Large inventories require more upfront investment. Large-scale micromanagement is virtually impossible. Why do corporations exist? To provide limited liability, to separate ownership and management. Most big businesses are not monopolies, and not all monopolies are big business. What are alternative forms of industry? Monopolies, oligopolies, cartels. What are the effects of a monopoly? Misallocation of scarce resources, higher prices due to lack of competition. How does the market recover from monopoly control? Government interference through regulatory commissions and antitrust laws. Self-correction through free market competition. What are the qualifying characteristics of a business? Accountability to a client base. Operation under free market principles. Lack of profit share. How are non-market producers different from businesses? Lack of competition. Operates as a government agency. Offers a baseline service at a set rate, characterized by a misallocation of scarce resources. Whatever the merits or demerits of various political proposals, what must be kept in mind when evaluating them is that good fortunes and misfortunes of different sectors of the economy may be closely related as cause and effect, and that preventing bad effects can prevent good effects. Part 3. Productivity and Pay. Minimum Wage Laws. Special Problems in Labor Markets. In short, the payment of wages and salaries has an economic role that goes beyond the provision of income to individuals. How are wages calculated? Wages reflect the overall efficiency of the job, not the worker's productivity. The problem with minimum wage. The problem with minimum wage is that it creates an expectation without a change in operation. No more money is pumped into these businesses to accommodate the new demand. Fewer people can be hired at the new rate. The workers that remain are then forced to add on tasks that hinder their ability to complete work in an efficient manner. The economic effects of regulating working conditions are very similar to the effects of regulating wages, because better working conditions, like higher wage rates, tend to make a given job both more attractive to the workers and more costly to the employers. Policy myths explained. Exploitation. People are most likely to be exploited in highly specialized fields. Occupational licensing. Setting a professional limit based on licensing sets a cap on the number of qualified professionals that can enter the workforce. Collective bargaining. Organized labor creates demands that, if met, create price floors in the market. Child labor laws. Children, as defined by law, includes fully able-bodied people that would be allowed to work in completely safe environments. Weekly work hour limits. Require businesses to pay people for time not worked. While it is always politically tempting for governments to mandate benefits for workers to be paid for by employers, the economic repercussions seldom receive much attention from either the politicians who create such mandates or from the voting public.